Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Hello everyone. My name is Alyssa McDermott, and I'm the Federal Administrator of Programs and Grants for the city. I am also here with Mike DeBroyce, the Director of Planning and Development. In tonight's presentation, I'll be giving a brief overview of the CDBG, home, and ESG programs. We will then inform you of the funding allocations from the Office of Housing and Urban Development, and then we also will record any questions or comments that any of you may have. And if you wanted to submit a question to me or a comment via email or mail, you can do so. All questions must be submitted by April 12th, and they will be posted on the city's website shortly after that date. On this slide, these are just some common abbreviations I'll be using throughout the presentation. Emergency Solutions Grant is ESG, low and moderate income, LMI, etc. So the purpose of tonight's hearing is to discuss the funding that we receive from HUD for each of the programs I had mentioned, CDBG, home, and ESG. Tonight, we are going to be focusing on housing and infrastructure projects. At our previous public hearing back in March, we discussed public service grants. And if you were at that public hearing, a lot of this information will be the same. So we're going to start off with CDBG. The CDBG program provides annual grants on a formula basis to states, cities, and counties to help them develop viable urban communities by providing decent housing and a suitable living environment through expanding economic opportunities. This funding is principally for low and moderate income individuals. 70% of all of our CDBG funds must benefit low to moderate income persons. And for any single activity that we fund, 51% of the people served in that activity are required to be low to moderate income individuals. These income limits are determined by the Office of Housing and Urban Development, and they are updated annually. For CDBG, there are 5 primary funding categories: public services, public facilities, infrastructure improvements, economic development, and affordable housing. The CDBG program does offer a high level of flexibility in choosing program activities. Most of the activities that benefit low to moderate income individuals and meet the needs of the community will be eligible for funding. And every activity that is funded under CDBG must meet one of the 3 national objectives. These are just some examples of some past infrastructure facility improvement activities that the city has undertaken. So we did some ADA upgrades at the Woonsocket Senior Center, commercial facade restorations, road reconstruction, etc. And these are some eligible activities for housing and infrastructure. Infrastructure and facility improvements. So acquisition of land or property, public facilities and improvements, code enforcement, demolition, site improvements, road construction, parks and playgrounds. On this slide, you can see our allocation from HUD. We have about $1.1 million in previous year funding that we have to allocate. And then our preliminary allocation for 2023 was about $1 million. So we have a total of $2.2 million to allocate in this round of funding. Does anyone have any questions or comments on what they believe this funding would be best used for as far as infrastructure or anything like that? Okay, I will move on. Next, we're going to be discussing our home funding, or the Home Investment Partnership Program. This is another federally funded program. Our home program allows for the building, buying, and/or rehabilitating of affordable housing for rent or home ownership, as well as tenant-based rental assistance if it has been identified as an activity in the 5-year consolidated plan that we submit to HUD. In the past, with this funding, Woonsocket has done a home repair program, new housing development, as well as a down payment assistance program. We do have a home buyer assistance program. So in this program, home funds are used to provide qualified Woonsocket households with home buyer assistance of up to $182,000 to assist with the acquisition of their first home. And the housing must be permanent housing and occupied by the home buyer. 50% of this funding will be a forgivable loan and 50% is a deferred loan. Some eligible activities for this program include down payment, closing costs, application fees, acquisition costs, etc. We also have our homeowner rehabilitation program. In this program, home funds are used to provide Woonsocket residents with funds to develop, rehabilitate, and support affordable rental and home ownership units in the city. The goal of this program is to provide Woonsocket homeowners with a loan of up to $20,000 per unit or $25,000 for a single family home to help them assist with complying with Rhode Island state property maintenance codes and making code related repairs, as well as removing lead hazards. And similar to the previous program, 50% is a forgivable loan and 50% is a deferred loan. Some of these activities include property rehabilitation, site improvements, or demolition. On this slide, we can see our allocation from HUD, about $391,000. Does anyone have any questions or comments about the home funding at this point? And there will be an opportunity at the end as well for more questions. So next we will be going over our ESG funding, the Emergency Solutions Grant Program. Eligible activities for this funding include street outreach, emergency shelter/shelter operations, rapid rehousing, homeless prevention, and the Homeless Management Information System, which is the statewide database for individuals who are waiting for shelter or housing. And in the past, the city has used these fundings for rapid rehousing programs, homeless prevention programs, as well as shelter operations for Community Care Alliance and Sojourner House. And on this slide, we can see our available funding from HUD. It's about $99,000. With this funding, we do sit on like a committee with other municipalities that receive this funding as well. And we do have to vote on whether or not an activity will be funded with that committee. Does anyone have any questions or comments about ESG funding at this point?
Alyssa, this is Michelle Taylor at CCA. So regarding all of this funding, in terms of, I realize that tonight is an opportunity to get some feedback. What will be the next steps in terms of decision making about how to proceed with dispersing this this funding?
I'm just writing down your question. So the next steps is we do have to, after the public comment period is over on April 12th, we have to post on the city's website any comments, questions we received, and then we have to go to the administration and bring them questions, comments, recommendations, and then at that point, we will finalize the budgets for each of these programs.
Thank you. Will this presentation be available publicly, or at least to the folks who have participated in this meeting this evening?
If you want, I can send you out the slides, but we also have been posting the full recordings of these on the city's YouTube channel as well.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. And that's the end of my presentation, unless there are any further questions or comments that I can take down.
So, Alyssa, do you anticipate that there'll be like an RFP process for dispersal of these funds, or will there be like, the council will make a decision or the planning department will make decisions about how to get the dollars out?
At this time, we're not 100% sure, just because we do want to take all the feedback that we're receiving from the public and bring it to the council. So we're not entirely sure of what that process is going to be like at this time.
Okay, so there's still room for input in terms of how that goes forward.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
And if after this meeting, if anyone has any comments or questions they would like to submit to me in writing, I can go back to the first slide, which has my email on it, I believe, right here. Okay, if there are no further questions or comments, I thank everyone for joining us tonight. And if you wanted to submit anything, just a reminder, it does need to be in by April 12th.
Thank you, Alyssa.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alyssa.
Thank you.